month for Black America, it's just another year. You knew the disrespect by your elected puppeteers, but let me show you how to persevere.
Good. Facebook, we up. IG, what's good? YouTube. Yo, it's your boy Jay DaCosta.
It is your girl Katniss.
And together we are the Daily Gritty. Look, we got a pretty cool show for y'all today. Got a lot of ground to cover. We weren't here last Sunday. It was Super Bowl Sunday. Shout out Travis Kelce and the Kansas City Chiefs. If you're wondering why I'm calling out Travis Kelce, it's because this young lady right here went to school with him.
Yep, him and his brother.
Yeah.
Shout out Jason and Travis. They both have Super Bowl rings. And shout out Cleveland Heights, where I was born and raised. Came through 12th grade.
If you don't know what song this is, you know it's Black History Month, right? So I wanted to bring the funk, bring the soul, right? All month we're gonna be doing this. This is James Brown, the godfather of soul. This is his album, The Payback. The song is also The Payback. I hope you know. If you don't know, you about to learn today. Let that in the 70s, it was hitting. Specifically, this came out in 1973. There's a reason behind the madness, folks. I'm gonna share that with y'all later on our Black History Moment Friday today. You know what I'm saying? When you think about the Black History Movement in the 60s and the 70s, when you think about the music that orchestrated that sound, you can't help but think about James Brown. So that's why I decided to play some James Brown. For you young folks out there that may not know. Alright?
Hey Nikita.
Hey, how's it going? Yeah, so
let's jump into it.
Yeah, we about to jump in. Yeah. Man, James was getting it back in the day. They don't even know for real.
Let's jump into the show.
They don't even know what James was about for real.
Okay.
Alright, so yeah, let's jump into this. Today we got a couple of things to talk about. We're gonna go over some current news, but when we get down to the nitty gritty, we're gonna talk about cancel culture today. We're gonna dig into how, hobbies versus businesses. Does everything you do have to be turned into a business? It's alright to have hobbies, folks, but hey, I want to get your thoughts. We're gonna dig into that. Also, we're gonna talk about paying for it or entitlement, whatever you want to call it. A lot of ladies was left out there stranded in Miami during the Super Bowl weekend. A lot of promises. But at the same time, some people feel like their end of the promises weren't fulfilled. Let's dig into this, folks. Alright, let's get down to the nitty gritty of it. And then we got some shout outs at the end of the show. So let's talk current news.
Okay.
Trump got acquitted, right? Everybody, that was a big news line. Obviously, the Republicans did block a lot of witness and testimony. And I honestly wasn't surprised. I mean, the man been getting away with murder since day one. And he got elected even with all the foolishness. So, I mean, I know he got impeached, but I was never confident that they were ever going to remove him from office.
Right. It's Trump. He can pay his way out of anything.
Yeah.
I don't like to, everybody knows, I don't like to exhaust my energy on Trump because it's Trump.
Yeah, and I just don't see our government being able, when you start thinking about the Infinite Game book I've been reading by Simon Sinek, I think a lot of times we think that there's a way to win and lose in life journeys. I don't think it's possible. If you haven't read the book, check it out, Simon Sinek, The Infinite Game. Really opening my eyes to a lot of things that we try to win that can't be won. Interesting point of conversation. Lana, what's up? All the way from Kansas City, Missouri. Not Kansas City, Kansas, Kansas City, Missouri.
Lana, you're a Super Bowl champion.
Yeah.
How does it feel?
How does it feel, girl?
I'm sure you can give us some of that. I can live through you vicariously, considering the Cleveland Browns have never won a Super Bowl. Ever.
So sad.
Ever.
Washington Redskins, we got 3 though.
We don't care about Washington Redskins.
DC, stand up!
The fact that you guys run around calling them the Washington Redskins is problematic in itself.
The RFK is located in DC. Now, I know we're not at RFK anymore.
It doesn't matter. But the team is named after an actual ethnicity?
Oh, yeah, that's problematic. Okay, yeah, you're right.
Okay.
Lana says, hey. Also, Democratic debates. If you guys didn't watch Friday night, that was interesting. Seemed like they agree on a lot of things, but there's something I want to bring up about Democratic debates is it's one thing to have a talking point that says, yeah, I like that. But who has a plan to get it accomplished? Me personally, I am feeling Andrew Yang and I am feeling Elizabeth Warren probably more than everybody. Actually, Stiers is alright with me too, for real.
In the comment section, let us know who you guys are.
I'm curious to know, who are you guys feeling so far during this Democratic race?
I will be voting for Elizabeth Warren because Elizabeth Warren has a plan for student loans. I am voting for my own self-interest.
And I mean, and I know a lot of people are saying Bernie, and a lot of people are pushing Biden, but I noticed that Bernie, when asked challenging questions about the people he has to work with, he seems like he tries to stray away from the answer. Biden is always giving us an old story, but at the same time, we've found, you know, in his history, some things we don't agree with. I think he's really trying to ride on the I was Obama's vice president feel, and you got to earn my vote. And honestly, when it comes to Buttigieg, I ain't feeling him at all. If you can't handle police brutality, if you can't handle the fact that blacks are disproportionately arrested and then also convicted for crimes in your city of South Bend, Indiana, where you're the mayor, where you can really influence policy at a greater rate, how are you going to do this at the national level when you're not directly connected to these councilmen, when you're not directly connected to every congressman in the United States that's going to make a better life for me as a black man, right? So, I don't know. I'm not feeling him. I mean, they hit him hard during the debates. They asked a lot of tough questions, and he kept on dancing around it. Could never answer the question directly. I didn't like that. Going to our comments, a lot of throwing some stuff back about the Browns. She said it was all good. The city is nice, but I'm still a Browns fan. Hey, man, you dedicated, seriously dedicated.
Cleveland
and
for life.
Burn.
Cleveland for life.
And Lana, if you want to elaborate some more on Bernie, because I know a lot of people like Bernie, but I don't know. Like last election cycle, I think I was feeling him more this time around. I don't know. I feel like that Bernie is fizzled out for me. I think he sizzled out, but that's my opinion. I mean, the polls still got him strong. I'll be curious. Moving along, we won't delay on that too long. Also, talking about Gayle King, right? Big news cycle with Gayle King. Katrina, I'll let you take the wheel on this one.
So if you guys didn't know, so with Gayle King, so Gayle interviewed Lisa Leslie. Lisa Leslie is a famous WNBA player. She happens to be a really good friend of Kobe Bryant. As we know, Kobe Bryant passed away. Gayle asked Lisa Leslie about the rape allegation that happened, I think, back in 2002, 2003. And Lisa basically said she never knew Kobe's characteristics to be that of a rapist. Then Gayle followed up and said, well, you wouldn't see it, would you, because you're his friend? And then when Lisa said, well, at the end of the day, the allegations were dropped. So, no, maybe I wouldn't see it. But since they were dropped, there's no point of us talking about it because if it was relevant, you guys would have brought it up when he was alive. Then Gayle King came back. Then Gayle King came back and said, well, the allegations were dropped because the witness wouldn't testify. So it seemed to most people when they were watching the interview that Gayle King had an agenda, and that's kind of what started this whole controversy. So of course celebrities like 50 Cent, Snoop Dogg, they kind of came out and kind of disrespected Gayle by calling her a bitch, dog face, saying she needs to be God, basically saying that she's not being down for the culture because as a black woman, they felt she had a responsibility to use her platform when it comes to being a journalist and asking responsible questions. I am of the mind of Lisa Leslie. If Kobe Bryant's rape allegation was still an issue for a journalist, they should have brought it up when he was alive versus trying to bring it up now to tarnish his legacy. Similar to
2019 Oscars. That would have been a good time to bring it up.
Perfect time.
Yeah.
So, we say all this to say Michael Eric Dawson spoke out about it. I see a lot of black women on Twitter and Instagram speaking about it. And basically, I'm opening the floor to you guys. A lot of women are frustrated because they feel like black men are being unfair to Gayle King and Oprah, saying that they're coming at them very negative and that they both have been supportive of the black community over numerous amount of years. And while Gayle may have used, I guess, misjudgment and asking a question, should this cancel culture be relevant or prevalent right now? I mean, should she be punished for a one-time offense? Let us not also forget that as a journalist, being a journalist, it's nuanced. So it is expected that someone's going to ask tough questions about your entire span of being a celebrity. Same thing with Jay-Z and Beyonce. I feel like, you know, I'm sure if something happens to Jay-Z and Beyonce, someone's going to ask them about the elevator incident. I'm not saying I would have asked that question, but we want to know from you guys. I'll take a pause. What are your thoughts on how Snoop Dogg reacted, his comments on Gayle King, the cancel culture regarding Gayle and Oprah? What are your thoughts?
All right, and while we're looking for your thoughts, I got a couple of them already. Lana actually responded to what we said about the Democratic debates. She said, "So I don't care for his trolls." And Bernie Sanders does have a bunch of trolls out there. She says, "So I don't care for his trolls, but I do think he's radical enough to represent constituents that are 40 and younger." And I do believe that still resonates with a lot of voters of that age. A lot of the young college-age voters are pro-Bernie. Going to our IG, Purple Low Love, she said.
That's Nikita.
Nikita.
Yeah.
She said a whole 17 years ago. And that's a good point, though. I mean, it was a minute ago.
A long time.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of time that stretch. Lana from Facebook said, "Not at all. I didn't care for the questioning, but I don't like the response either."
Yeah.
And then Lana said that Snoop is out of line. And I think a lot of us feel that Snoop going in was out of line.
So
going
was 50
back.
Cent.
Oh yeah, 50 Cent. Anybody that attacked her.
And Oprah.
Yeah, anybody that attacked her personally, I have an issue with. I will say that it's okay to be critical. But there is a line, a respectful line that I think we should stay within the bounds of. And I do believe that line was crossed a number of times. I know you can't judge how someone reacts. So maybe that could be a thought to the idea of her bringing it up in the first place. You know, I think when we're talking about freedom of speech in America, we have to understand that while you do have that freedom to say what you want to say and express how you want to express, keep in mind there's consequences behind said expression. Like, someone has the right to say, "I hate all you black folks," but you do that in Southeast DC on Alabama Road, it's a good chance you'll get punched in your mouth. I'm not advocating for the violence to be punched in the mouth. I'm just saying you need to know your audience. I think
we need to take it a step back for a second. So, do I think Gayle King was wrong for asking the question? Yes. Do I think it was crazy that her and other journalists were going to bring up the allegation? No. Do I think that Oprah and Gayle deserve the treatment that they're getting in the media? I understand.
Not the threatening part.
I understand why people may be disappointed.
But they need to be challenged.
Because they feel like if you're going to give the same heat to Bill Cosby and to Russell Simmons and to Kobe Bryant, you need to also give that same energy to the Harry Weinsteins of the world. And I believe in being consistent.
Harvey hasn't got that kind of treatment from them from what I've seen.
I think if I'm going to make an assumption here, you guys tell me if you agree, I think in regards to Oprah, can't speak for Gayle, I think Oprah has a vendetta and may judge black men harshly when she even hears of rape, because Oprah has been raped twice by 2 black men. So I think that something about hearing a black man raping somebody else, I think it's trauma. It's traumatic for her, and I think it is a trigger. That doesn't mean it's okay.
But the rape should just be a trigger. It shouldn't be who is causing the rape.
Yeah, I don't think it's okay, but I think for Oprah, I think because she says it vehemently, that she was raped by 2 black men, she never lets it go. I think anytime she hears of a black man of power raping somebody, I think she's more inclined to side with the victim or the alleged victim before hearing the full facts and figures. Do I think that's fair? No, but I do think that as men, you have to be sensitive to the fact that a lot of women are having the ability to come out and talk about being raped. And I feel because if that's the case, I think that guys have to definitely tread lightly on their actions with women. I don't agree with the Kobe Bryant questioning, though. And I don't think that Gayle should be getting death threats. And I do think that black men judge black women a lot more harshly because they try to make it seem like black women are always dogging them. Black women have been at black men's back protective for a very long time. Who do y'all think voted for Hillary Clinton? Who do y'all think...
Y'all didn't vote for her by herself. It still took a lot of people to vote.
That's
Black
true.
men still voted for Hillary at a higher rate than any other subgroup of men in America.
But when it comes time for women to speak out against police brutality, black men getting killed in the street, black men going to jail, I always see black women speaking up, putting their neck out there, causing marches, causing walks, writing documentaries. And I feel like anytime a black woman makes one mistake, you have a whole dog walk, you dirty, you ugly, whatever. It's like, God, can we make one mistake? I mean, without being attacked?
So,
Oprah has done a lot.
I'm going to read this comment, and what we're going to do is we're going to move forward. We're going to get down to the nitty-gritty of it, because I think now we're getting to the point of cancel culture, and we need to address that. So, Lana, I agree. Alana mentions from Facebook, I agree, it's a trigger, but I think the issue is the victim, no matter who it is or when it occurs, it's hard to be believed. All right? Yeah, keep it focused on the victim. Case. Because the victim of rape is a victim of rape. Then Herman brings up a good point. He says, good point, Katrina. Did not know about Oprah. So I will say this, even from a cancel culture perspective, right? Even if you're going to bring up a situation from a journalistic standpoint, I think so that way we could try to minimize the blow of what's being created in cancel culture. We should start telling the whole story more often. A lot of times we read headlines and then we lose so much of the body of what that is. Like for instance, if you're going to talk about Kobe Bryant, and I'm not siding on any side, but I'm just let's bring up the facts.
Okay.
The witness didn't want to testify, but also they found almost 8 different types of semen in her anus. All right, these are points, right? Also, the hair follicles and the DNA that they found in her clothes didn't match Kobe Bryant, right? So had she testified, she might have been ripped to shreds on the stand. And I remember
she still collected that check though, didn't she?
She still got a check. But keep in mind, there's other factors there. Now, at any point, we're not suggesting that a man should force himself on a woman. But before we bury somebody with one half of the story, right, you should bring up all points. If it's from a journalistic standpoint, you need to place all the facts. Also, at what point do people get to find atonement for their actions, right? Now, in some of these cases, when you look at some of these celebrities out here and some of these powerful men, whatever the situation is, not only do you see a period in time where they may have subjected women to a culture that was just, that's what we did. For instance, we just watched Purple Rain today, right? Okay. So, Katrina gets some extra points on our black card. She watched Purple Rain for the first time. I've seen it a few times. But in Purple Rain,
I don't want my opinion on Purple Rain.
I'm not even going to go all there. But if anybody remembers the movie Purple Rain, Prince, who is the main character in the film, there's a bunch of times where he's forcing himself, or Apollonia. Some of the stuff that he does, if we were to see that distributed now in our current culture, we'd be like, oh my God, this is horrible. The way he's acting, and mind you, he was as soft as he can be.
They were trying to paint a narrative to make Prince look like he was all the way into women.
All right, now I want to go off base. I get where you want to go. Let's not go there. But the point being, the way, but even with all of that, the way he pushed himself upon Apollonia is not acceptable in this current time. You get what I'm saying? Now, when you look at but no one goes back and says, hey, I didn't like the way he was forcefully kissing Apollonia. You know, they didn't come for Prince's neck. And I think at some point, you have to allow people to grow. Back then, it was okay in movies for men to act like that. Nowadays, we wouldn't want to see characters on film acting in that way because that's unacceptable, especially if they're supposed to be the hero of the film. So at what point do we say, you know what? That's what they did back then. I think these folks have grown. Let's not hold a movie made in 1984 against them. You get where I'm going?
She said, wait a minute. You've never seen a girl. Anyway, yes. Read
a little louder for the people. Now, make sure they hear you.
Yeah.
You count it. Yeah, you're reading like it's just the two of us. Here, I'll read it for y'all. She said, wait a minute. You've never seen it, girl. Anyway, yes. And it wasn't ever acceptable. It was tolerable.
You hear Prince running around with, you know what? Let's not get off.
Marvin, what's up? Louisiana in the building.
Speaking of this
cancel culture.
This cancel culture, but I want to kind of go into the whole if a man does something, does that mean sex? Like, I mean, because we're on this.
We're gonna go there. We're gonna go there.
But
let's finish up some cancel culture stuff. Come on, man, you jumping around. We had a plan, Kat.
It was in the pilot.
We'll get there. We're gonna get there.
Okay, well, with cancel culture, I think that cancel culture is detrimental for anybody, whether you're a celebrity or whether you are a regular person. For example, it was said in the news that a principal went off, what did she say? Something very derogatory, like racial. And I guess people had screenshotted it. And she ended up getting fired. So I think that you have to be very mindful on what you put on social media because you just never know when someone may be petty and report you. And I think that this cancel culture is very, very detrimental, because the reality is you grow, right? You evolve as a human being. You learn different things. At one point in time, people, to your point, men were groping women. They were aggressive because that was the times. Now men are learning that it's not okay to do that. And it took different men being, I guess, criticized in the media. It took people publicly stating their boundaries and what was acceptable and not acceptable, although it should be common sense. The point being is that I think you have to give people the ability and the grace to grow. We all evolve, we all grow, we all don't know. We're not end all be all knowing beings. And I just think that it's really a travesty and a shame that when someone works really hard to clean their image, i.e. Kobe Bryant, because he was a good husband and he was a good father upon, his death, I think it's a travesty when you try to dismantle his legacy by bringing up that one incident. Same thing with Dr. King. I think that when you look at Kobe Bryant, he's known for basketball, and I think we need to separate people from their talent and who they are in their home life. Kobe Bryant was an amazing basketball player. That should never be diminished or rebutted. He was great. He was Mamba mentality. We saw him as a husband and father, to our understanding, for the past 17 years since the allegation. He was great. When he had the incident of the rape thing, I think he was like 21. He was a kid.
Yeah, I mean,
kids do dumb things. Not saying it's okay, but. And
I think sometimes we have to take a look at adolescence. If you're 22 years old, George Bush, he was missing flight. George W. Bush, he was a pilot in the Air Force. He was missing flights and jacking off when he was a young lieutenant in the Air Force, but he still became president, right? And of course, that's a white man, so sometimes that situation is different. But then we forget that people like Malcolm X once was going around here going by Red or Little Red, and if you're holding up against him that lifestyle he had at that time, 19 years old, 20 years old, committing crimes, does that ever give him a chance to grow to the age of his late 30s to become the man that we revere now, especially during this time of the month? So I don't know. I think we have to give time for growth. Herman from our Facebook audience said he agrees. Lana said cancel culture, don't cancel Prince.
Oh no, we're not canceling Prince.
Yeah. Marvin said it's all BS. Cancel culture. I agree with you. Marvin also said you got to watch what you say or say what you want and own it. I like that. And then Herman also saying take ownership of what you say and what you mean.
I like that. I think if Gail would have, instead of posting that video where she came back and was like, that was the network. I can see how and putting the onus on the network. I think if she would have came back and said, you know what, guys, I apologize due to the sensitivity of the situation and Kobe's late death. I should have never asked that question. Please accept my apology. I do think that as celebrities or as people, I don't know. People always apologize. People still don't forgive them.
So I was going to say this earlier when it comes to apologies, right? The best form of apology is changed behavior, right?
Oh, yeah.
And I think that's something we have to consider with this whole cancel culture, because there are some people that apologize all the time and yet they make another comment that's disrespectful. Like, that's why I was so annoyed by Rush Limbaugh getting the Medal of Freedom from President Trump this past week. This man has repeatedly made comments that are disrespectful to minorities, the black community, and just people in general, and you give him the Medal of Freedom. Now, that's a direct slap to many Americans' faces. There's no change behavior. He still goes on these rants that are disrespectful to a great majority of Americans. So how does he get an American Medal of Freedom? His words don't represent the freedom of all of those who have the right to liberty and the going to the pursuit of happiness, right? He doesn't represent that at all. So how does he get that award? I don't know. But yet you have someone like a Russell Simmons, who you see a very obvious difference in how he communicates versus the 80s when he first started going to MC versus now. Yet people are trying to bring up allegations from the 80s and the early 90s. And then you have this whole tenure of changed behavior. I think we need to look more at changed behavior versus the words of someone. Because politicians, celebrities, anybody who gets caught with their pants down, they're always going to apologize, right? But do they mean it, or were they just caught and now they're just cleaning up the work?
So, question for you. If you did do an offense to someone and then you changed, and the person...
And Marvin said he don't think Gayle King means it. She's just covering her behind.
And the person has changed, but they did not. They were not punished for their action. Do you think that the person still has the right to come back and place blame on someone, even though they changed their behavior? Should they still suffer the consequences for something they did 10 years ago?
I mean,
or
it
do you
depends on
think
what
that
it
time gap is sensitive?
Well, okay, there's always going to be the court of public opinion, right? But then there's the law, right? There is no statute of limitation for certain crimes. If you killed somebody 60 years ago, right? That's a finite action. That person's life was snuffed out. It would never be seen again. So even if you lived another 60 years being a great person, doing amazing things, there's still that life you shut out, right? And that's why in the court of the law, right, there's that, hey, there's no statute of limitation. It's a cold case. I can still send you to jail. Now, there might be that one time you took a cookie out the cookie jar, but since then you become a police officer, you're a stand-up person. Maybe your parents shouldn't hold that over your head. I used to take cookies out the cookie jar. Obviously, you've grown since then. So there's a varying weight there. If it's a legal issue, such as rape, such as a murder, such as maybe committing some kind of a crime, if it falls within the statute of limitations, yeah, you can have changed behavior, but you still have to be met with the consequences of the law.
So with that being said, then I think that a lot of men always say that why do all these women wait till the last minute to come talk about rape? And I think that
there is a statute of limitation on rape too.
Yes, but I think that you have to understand the mindset of rape victims. A lot of times you're in such shock, you don't even know what's going on. And so I think a lot of times women just say, forget it, I don't want the trouble, I don't want anything to do with the guy. But I think that certain things trigger them throughout the years, and then they realize this really is bothering me. This really affects me. And then maybe 5 years later, they're like, I want to take this person down because I spent 5 years of my life, you know, living in fear, stress, triggered. I think that something like rape is more of a psychological thing, and I think that men need to understand that just because someone doesn't say the day after, hey, someone raped me, that doesn't mean that they don't have any, it doesn't hold validity 5 years later or 10 years later.
Yeah.
Just wanted to just say that.
No, and that's a valid point. We got comments from both IG and Facebook. I'll go to IG first. Nikita, right? All right. Nikita said yes, because if you never acknowledge, it's still a version of brushing it under the rug, no matter how much you change. Yeah. All right. So echoing a lot of the same response. Marvin said it depends on the crime, but 17 years later, come on. I feel you, right? Then Herman said yes, I agree with you on. Rush Limbaugh is such a divisive person. Facts on that, double facts on that. And then Marvin coming back again on Facebook saying, we do understand, but not 30 years later. So, I mean, a lot of different, and then also Sold by Elisa on IG, she comments, she says, society and even the police blame the victim. And that is something we need to get away from. We can't always go to, blaming the victim. You can't throw them under the rug when they finally get the courage to come out. I do think sometimes it gets a little weird with some of the victims, because it's like when you're going for the payday versus the justice, I think that's when you look at some of these situations, you're like, well, which one, what's your real motive? So, I mean, I guess that gets a little muddy.
One thing, and then we can move on. One thing you said.
Okay, Marvin.
One thing Juan said before, and it always, stays in my mind, is that, for example, with Bill Cosby, you can't even feel that bad because Bill should have been cheating on his wife. And you know what I'm saying? Like, we get so riled up, like, oh, everybody just coming on the bandwagon. And that might be the case. But if you weren't cheating, they wouldn't have no ammunition to come at you with. Yeah. If you know that your significant other is faithful, it don't matter how many people come out the woodworks, it's not going to be valid. But if you're not faithful, now you're giving ammunition for someone to dismantle your character. So rule of thumb is just be faithful. Be loyal to who you being loyal to. And you wouldn't have these issues.
A lot of from Facebook said that part, at Cat. Yeah, a lot of hands up to that. So you know what? Let's switch gears a little bit, because it's rolling into the conversation. So let's talk about what happened in Miami.
Miami, what happened in Miami?
So for those that don't know, and the Super Bowl was in Miami, right? There was a club, I think it was Live. It's a strip club in Miami.
It was just
they made like $1 million.
$1 million.
But with all that money made for these strippers, there were still people out there left stranded. Now, some of these young ladies that were stranded was a result of them. They went down there for the strip club scene, and they bought one-way tickets. I guess they thought they was gonna make so much money.
They thought they were about to be on the street hitting it up.
But at the same time, there was also a group of young ladies out there who wanted to be around the festivities. They met up with guys via Facebook, IG, however
and
people
got
meet.
the invite.
And then they got the invite to come on, but I guess there was a thought process on behalf of some of these males that, okay, if you come down here, we gonna have a good time. And for a lot of men, that meant sex. I'm gonna get the draws, whatever that meant, right? And so some of these men bought one-way tickets, and because they didn't get, well, I guess what they felt they were entitled to, they were like, oh well, now you're struggling. And then the sad part is some of these girls couldn't finance the trip. So now they're stuck in Miami. So it leaves two questions I want to put out there before it goes down right now. Because it's about to go down. Right? Two questions. One is, why do men feel entitled to sex because they pay for nice things? Right? Second question, right? Why do women feel entitled to men buying them, or people, period, buying them nice things just because of how they look, or just because they're women? All right, so two questions.
These are amazing questions.
Because I think when we start answering these questions, then what we can solve for is how do we train our young boys and our young women not to fall into the same pitfalls of some of these examples that have been set, right? How do we change and break the narrative? So those two questions, I really want to hear what you guys have to say. One, why do men feel entitled to sex just because they buy women nice things? And then two, why do women feel entitled to someone having to buy them nice things?
So I want to back it up a little bit here, sorry. So the moment that a man says, I want to take you on a trip, I think that if you don't know that man, you probably should not go on that trip. I don't believe in going on trips out of the country or out of the state with someone you don't know. I feel like there's a level of trust that comes with traveling. Two, if you happen to go on a trip, whether someone offers to buy it for you or not, you need to have your own money. I am of the mindset nowadays, I will never, ever, ever be that chick where I am dependent on a man to put a roof over my head. I have always been independent and will always be independent. I am smart, I am able, so I don't understand the notion of, well, he said he was going to take me on a trip. Now, second of all, I kind of put I think men are entitled. Like, I feel like in this day and age, there's a lost art of actually courting and dating. Sadly, I feel like the moment a man says, I want to take you on a trip, and he's giving you that extension, and you guys are not exclusive, you've barely been talking, it's a common known thing that he's looking for some butt. That's just what it is in our generation. So as a woman, you knew what it was, sis. Not saying it's okay, but I would never put myself in that predicament knowing I was not comfortable. If that's not how I live my life, if you're not, put it this way, if you're not built for that life, you should not take the invitation. Certain girls are built for that life. Those certain girls are the ones who have sugar daddies. Those certain girls are the ones who fly out with these white billionaires. They know what it is. It's an exchange. You give me money and things, I give you my body. If you're not built for that life, you don't take that invitation.
And I think there's a greater calling for people to have to walk that line. Lana from Facebook said men should own that. That's historical. Men feel entitled because they have historically done so. Women lean on men to provide. All right, so let's address that, right? We understand historically, and then also the opportunities for women to provide for themselves. Now, there's still pay disparity. We know that opportunities are limited for especially people of color, even more so women of color, right? Because you have two things working against you. You're a woman, and now you also have working against you the fact that you're a minority. So we know that exists. But with that said, we're in a somewhat better position for people to try to make money. It may not be a fair advantage, it may not be fair pay, but enough to where you could technically put a roof over your head, if you guys follow where I'm going, all right? Because I don't want to take away from the fact that we know we have other issues surrounding this. But keeping that in mind, I told my daughter, even today, talking to her over the phone, she's 14, shout out my baby Amira, don't ask for a man to do something for you that you yourself can't afford to do for yourself, right? if a boy, well, she's too young to be dating, but the day is coming sooner than, it's coming fast. I know it is. I'm real about that. So, in college, whatever, girls want to go to a nice restaurant. But if you can't afford to go to Ruth Chris, don't ask the guy to take you to Ruth Chris. Don't make him feel like he has something over you to where he thinks he's owed something. You don't have to give it to him regardless. But let's say if he gets mad and decide, well, you know what? You don't want to give me no butt. You don't want to let me kiss you or whatever like that. Then he leaves you stranded. At least if you have your own money or you can afford to buy your own lift or whatever, it's kind of like, you know what? I don't have to put up with disrespect. I think by being your own person, and this actually works for men too. There are men out there because they're relying on someone to take care of them, right? They're forced into situations where they have to deal with stuff from a woman possibly, right? Or some lover. And you don't have to deal with that if you would first take care of number one, yourself. If you can manage your own lifestyle, you don't have to rely on the financial disrespect that comes because you can't take care of yourself. So I think that's number one, like have your own. But then for men, I think what you need, I think Lana's right. We do need to take some onus on that. Just because if you give somebody something, it's a gift. Yeah. At that moment. Yeah. So if you're giving it, you have to be willing to part with it with nothing in return. And if it's a true gift, you shouldn't be looking for something back in return, right?
That's not what these men is about. These men think that Netflix and chill is a ticket to butt. These men think if I take you to the movies, it's a ticket to butt. These men think if I take you to Red Lobster, Ruth Chris, some people think McDonald's, it's a ticket to butt. Well, they're not understanding, and then they get mad. This goes for men and women because both of them in the situation were both just dead wrong. Then both people get mad and say, society is messed up, I can't find no good man or good woman. It don't require all of that. If you really want to get to know somebody, it does not require going out of the country. It's as simple as, can we go meet for a cup of coffee? But I've heard some women who say, oh no, he taking me for a cup of coffee. And it's like, is he taking you out to spend a lavish life on you or to adorn you in a way that you feel like you are the queen? Or is he taking you out with the intention to get to know who you are? And when you go out, you get to tell someone's character. Like me and him went on a trip when we started to date, and I knew I was safe because he was a man of character. He was not going to be a man that if you don't do what I tell you to do, you got to find your way home. I mean, what kind of sucker stuff is that? That's a straight sucker.
And this is something I would impart to my own children, and I think this is a life lesson. It's not even a gender-specific thing when you think about it, because if you want to know what somebody's after, you can really see it in the surface level of their conversation. For instance, it's one thing upon first meeting, but, if you have a few conversations, if a man's only compliment is to your physical, or even if a woman, if her only compliment is to your physical, or the exterior, meaning, oh, I like your car. Oh, it's like, oh, you didn't notice me last week, but now that I got on some Balenciaga tennis shoes, you like, oh, hey, Juan, how you doing, right? That should be a sign or a flag that, you know what, they're not interested in your conversation. They're interested in what they think you might be able to provide based off the appearance you're giving off that you might have a lot of money, right? If a chick don't notice you fellas until you pull up in the BMW, the Mercedes, or the nice vehicle, that might give you some idea of what they're valuing about you, right? But the same thing for you ladies. If the man is only liking the pictures where you got your booty out or your breast out, or they only comment on your physical attributes, like, yeah, girl, you wearing that dress today. Yeah, but we had a whole project last week. How did you feel about how I performed during that project? How do you feel about what happened in class? Do you have anything to say to me about what's going on in politics or whatever? It's like, does your conversation expand beyond just shallow conversation, meaning what I can see on the exterior? Right?
Do you think he should have bought her a plane ticket home?
Here's the thing. I don't think that it's a gift, right? So you gotta look at this both ways. One, you don't have to do anything for anybody, right? Because it's a gift. He bought her. She knew when she came, she only had a ticket there.
But one way's not bad.
I'm just saying, but she knew. That's for anybody. That would work for me too. This is regardless of gender. If someone buys you a one-way ticket, you should automatically be thinking about, okay, how am I going to get back? Yeah. That's just good planning. Yeah. I don't care who it is. Somebody offers you a one-way ticket. Yeah. It's just kind of like, okay, you need to get back home, right? So you should be thinking about that. You should either have the conversation before flying down there, all right, or secure your way back. Like, okay, well, he didn't get me a ticket back, so I need to figure that out. I think it is immature to go anywhere and not know how you're going to get back. If you know getting back is part of the process, right? Now, I think a gentleman, if you're going to give a gift, give a gift. It shouldn't have an expectation around it. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what men need to do better. Mm-hmm. We can't have this expectation that if I do this, I'm going to get it. But then we need to check the whole culture, because when you look at IG, the more skin you show, the more likes you get, right? And you get a certain kind of attention from a certain kind of caliber man as far as money. The guys who post the most bling and the flashiest things get the most likes. So we're putting so much value on a man having the appearance of money, and we're putting so much on the appearance of physical stature with women. There's a reason why there's a disconnect, because people don't talk. They just like, they swipe,
DM.
You know, who's really getting to know anyone anymore? So now it's kind of like the basis of attraction are flawed, and we need to change why we're attracted to people. What draws us to one another has to be deeper than just what I see on the exterior. If all you see is butt and titty, then once she can't provide more than butt and titty, don't be upset, because that's what you chose. You made the only thing, or the only requirement, butt and breast. And once that gets old, you have no one to blame but yourself, men. Speaking directly to men especially.
I'm just curious to know what you guys think in the comment section, because when I heard about that, I was just like, okay, sis.
And then there was something else that kind of falls into this. What's that whole pick me girl thing? I'm trying to understand what that is.
Oh, yes. So, for someone like me, I never looked at a man for what he can provide. I always looked at it as a teamwork, because my parents, I grew up in a household where my mom and dad both worked, so it was a teamwork. So whenever I say that, I'm noticing that a lot of women feel if you are a woman who believes in teamwork, you are considered a pick-me. Now, a pick-me woman is a woman they feel who goes out of their way to say societal things that fit into normalcy, or to say things that they feel would be appealing to a man, essentially saying, oh, pick me, pick me.
What's the example?
So example is, I don't wear sexy clothes, I'm modest, and I still get attention from guys.
What's wrong with that?
Or, I don't believe a man should pay for the first date, I would like to go Dutch. They feel like you're purposely saying things to garner attention from men, to say, oh, pick me because I have a different standard, versus just either being quiet or following the norm of a man should pay for the first date. A man should provide all of the bills, things of that nature. So I don't know, it's just weird to me, because I feel like with the way inflation is going, I think it's really unrealistic to think that a man is going to provide all of the household income for you, vacation, and that you're not going to contribute at all. You are an adult. You're not a dependent. You're an adult. And so if something happens to that man, if you don't have the skill set to go back into the workforce to manage bills and manage affairs, manage taxes, what are you going to do?
Yeah, and I think
you have to consider that.
And I think, like, I meet a lot of black, smart, talented women, and I think you guys are greater than dependents. You know, I think that there's a higher calling to what you bring to the household. A lot of you guys are leaders. You're also decision makers. I just think that the narrative gets a little lost in the sauce if you come into it trying to be a dependent, right? And then sometimes an individual may not let you elevate beyond how you came into it. They might like, no, I want you to always stay in the place of the dependent, because that's what you've always been. But you have ideas, you have dreams, you have a way to contribute. But if you don't express that from day one, what it is that you bring to the table, it's kind of hard to climb above that status if you came into it as a dependent. All right?
Comment from Nikita.
And I like this. He said, whoever asked to go out should be the one to sponsor the evening. And I was just about to say that, though. Thank you, sis, for saying that, because that's how I feel. I think if you're going to suggest to someone, because this doesn't work just in romantic relationships, this works in friendships too. Mm-hmm. As a friend, don't be like, hey girl, let's go shopping, but then you don't want to throw no gas money to all this driving around the girl with the car going to be doing. All right? This works beyond just romantic relationships. Fellas,
that's real.
You guys all got that one male friend that's like, yo man, let's go out for drinks, but based off your dime, or you gonna drive us to the bar. It's like,
or when you get to the bar, yo, I got you next time.
Can you get me?
I got you next
It's like,
time.
if you're suggesting going out, I agree with Nikita wholeheartedly. Be able to sponsor what you're asking for someone to do. Herman from Facebook said, there is a disconnect, Juan, because rich and wealthy men with good characters do not typically operate like that. Just the wannabes.
Ooh.
I think that's a good.
What's the rest of it?
I can't see the whole thing.
Oh.
I can't see the whole thing. It won't let me see the whole thing. I can't see what's after all. I think he's about to say often. If you could type the rest of that for me, Dad, I appreciate it. And then Nikita from IG said, yep, all relationships. I'm with you 100%.
I mean,
yep.
I just think, because Aisha Curry got called a pick me. Remember when she was called a pick me last year?
Yeah.
She was like, torn apart. Because she came across as this goody two-shoes, this Christian girl, the perfect marriage, the Virgin Mary. She's modest, and people were like, "Oh, you just a pygmy, and Steph probably would be cheating on you." And I think that we're so damaged as a society when it comes to dating.
We look down on someone that wants to save it for marriage. That's crazy.
I think that anytime you have a couple that's for God, or wants to save it for marriage, or believes in monogamy, or believes in teamwork, people are like going to have negativity because they're so used to dysfunction and chaos in a relationship. That's not a healthy relationship. Mm-hmm. And even Sierra was dogged, like, "Oh, you with corny Russell Wilson." Yeah. What's his name again?
Russell Wilson.
Russell Wilson. I don't know why I can't say it today. I don't understand why a man treating you well, or treating you the way you should be treated, is considered corny. Can someone explain that to me? I would love to know what that means.
I think you said it. Society is damaged. And I think we've been plagued with so many harmful images. You look at the rap videos, you can look at the movies, and what we're constantly pushing out, or at least what garners the most attention, is the negative. We see that with the Nitty Gritty Show. If I can just have an honest moment, we're having interesting conversations about our community, about politics, about how we can push a positive narrative forward. And we're building at a much slower rate than if I was just slapping women around. If I was talking about, notches on my belt, and she was here throwing glasses at a woman's face, you know what I'm saying? If they was over here arguing and babbling over men and all this dysfunction we see in the reality TV shows, we probably would have been picked up by BET now. But when you're having this kind of discourse, and this is of a positive nature, it doesn't get the same attention as all the negative. It is Black History Month. And the biggest news cycles right now is a black man dogging another black woman, i.e. 50 Cent, or Snoop Dogg dogging Gayle King, or all this dysfunction. It's rappers going at each other's neck. It's folks talking about harming each other. Kobe Bryant just died, and it didn't take no more than a week for people to be back to the foolishness. And it's Black History Month. It doesn't really mean anything to the fabric of our community anymore, because the most salacious stories that garner the most attention are those that are negative within our own community. And there's a lot of positive going on right now that won't get any attention.
Yeah.
No attention. So we as a society is damaged, and I think that's why it happens. If I can, we only have that much time left. I'm going to hit our third subject. Continue to type. We'll read your comments. But the last thing is, and I wanted to bring this up because I think this is something that we could do a better job with, is when we're trying to talk about hobbies versus businesses. I brought this up because I won't say the business.
Yo, this business had really been blowing you for weeks.
Man, blowing me for weeks, all right? I think, before I read it, let me read this last comment. Sold by Elisa. She said, "The backlash on Aisha is a sign of the degradation of our morals." Thank you. Ooh. Side note, Lizzo twerking with her cheeks exposed is not self-love. It was inappropriate.
Come on, Elisa!
Yo.
Coming up the night, yeah!
I'm loving that. Let me read that one more time for y'all.
Because Lizzo gets on my nerves.
The backlash of Aisha is the sign of the degradation of our morals. Side note, Lizzo twerking with her cheeks exposed is not self-love. It was inappropriate.
I saw her the other night. She had like boobs and she was like bouncing them. It's just like Lizzo. I just want her to...
Thank you so much for that.
Sorry, I have to just... I know we can talk about Lizzo, but I just want Lizzo to sit down somewhere and go into a therapy chair. It is obvious that she is dealing with self-love, and she wants a validation from the masses. And that is not how you get self-love, honey. Self-love comes from within. Secondly, I am all for if you are big and beautiful, but the reality is, are you healthy? If you're big and healthy, great. If you're not healthy, you gotta get healthy. Like right now, I'm not healthy. So that's all I say about Lizzo. Like, cause she kills me with this whole. She reminds me of Monique. I'm big and fat, but Monique not even big no more.
Yeah, she losing weight, getting healthy. Herman said, unfortunately, Katrina, dysfunction sells papers, gets our attention, and folks salivate over it.
Ooh,
And then also, Herman said, I'm tired of Lizzo too. I'm with you. So, yeah, and like I said, if you bring the comments, we're going to read them. But talking about this whole business versus a hobby, and we won't spend a lot of time here, we'll hit it quick. There's a business in the area, I won't say which one, but let's say if you're a bakery, right?
It's so obvious.
No, I didn't say the name because they are black owned, so I don't want to throw them under the bus and hurt their business, but hopefully somebody from there is hearing this and maybe might take it to heed. So they make amazing desserts. Like, look, one of the best. I'm not going to say who it is. I want to kind of shout them out, but I'll do it on a later post so y'all don't connect the dots. So, make amazing desserts, but their business model is horrible. If you have a brick and mortar business, meaning you actually have a location, it actually behooves you to be open as often as possible, right? Because now you have a bottom line cost for, whatever your rent, your mortgage, or whatever your lease is, you have to pay that bottom line, right? You have to make the bottom line. Once you go into an established location, your goal now is to make money. When you have a business, any business, I don't care what it is, the goal is to make money. Now, if it's just a thing, if it's a project of passion, and there's nothing wrong with a project of passion. Some people play the bass guitar. Some people do poetry. Some people like to do things in the community, activism. Some folks have a skill in a craft. Maybe you paint. You still got your day job, but you love to paint. Your painting is so good, people buy it from time to time. But it's not what's putting food on the table necessarily. Maybe it gets you a Louis Vuitton bag every now and then. Maybe it's a little extra money to go out of town on a trip, but it's not your main source of income. Once you start building a business, especially a brick and mortar, the goal has to be make money. All right? One of my beefs with this particular bakery is that they're known for cinnamon rolls. But if you're going to have cinnamon rolls, have regular cinnamon rolls available. If all the flavors are Nutella, vanilla, Oreo, and then the next one is peanut butter fried chicken, it's like, all right, if I have a nut allergy, there goes me buying that particular item. And then some people just want that main thing. I think sometimes we have great ideas and we do something really well, and like I said, it might put a little money in your pocket. But it may not be a business, folks. And guess what? I know we live in a society where everybody wants to have a business page. Everyone wants to say, I'm in business. Everybody wants a tax ID. Because it sounds sexy. It sounds cool.
I'm in business by myself. I got this going on. That's what's being pushed.
But you know what? It's all right to not have a business. It's all right to be like, you know what? I don't want to own my bowling barbershop, but I'm actually good at cutting hair. It's what I did to get through college, but I'm an accountant now. But there's nothing wrong with still cutting hair on the side. It may not be a business for you. You may not have the bandwidth, the time to actually run it as a business.
Well, I think we glorify being a business owner, and rarely do people talk about the ups and downs of being a business owner. Mm-hmm. Being a business owner is much more than just, I work for myself. When you work for yourself, that means you have to work for the money you need to take care of bills. Sometimes that month, you might not make the sales. That means you are required now to work more than 40 hours a week. When you are in business, you have to go out and get a health insurance plan. When you are in business, you have to deal with the lights, the insurance, the taxes,
cost.
All that stuff.
Cost.
Versus if you are an employee. To your point, if you are a business that sells and you're a bakery, I would think that they would have like just standard things, and then the specialties would be like, you know, once every blue moon.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, oh, every Saturday we'll have a new flavor. But you say that this particular business, you go in there for a regular cookie or a regular brownie, and it's like, we got brownies, but we won't have a regular one. We got fried chicken Oreo brownies. It's like, well, I just want a regular brownie.
Yeah, and I mean,
why can't you just do something regular?
And here's the thing. If it's a hobby, you can make these crazy designs and sell them in a bizarre standpoint, because it's like, hey, you know what? We make these because we just like experimenting with desserts.
We'll talk about the line situation too.
Right? I mean, you know, I'm not even going to go ham on them like that. But I'm just saying, like, it's an alright hobby, and it's a hobby that can make them some money. It's like, hey, look, we make amazing desserts. We do some really, you know, explorative type desserts. We like just trying out different things. If you want to try different stuff, hey, my little boutique style brand from home hobby, I make a little money off. That's cool. But once it becomes a business, folks make money. Sold by Yolisa said, the employees, I'm an agent and I have no desire to become a broker. That's right, because there's a cost of your time. And sometimes, and you know what, I like the fact that you brought that up. Sometimes we're not even talking about hobbies. This could be how you make your money. But then it's like, do you want to go into the stress of the next level? Is it going to help your work-life balance? And I think a conversation I had recently, when we're looking at how people live outside of America, because they're not so capitalist-driven, they know how just to live life. It's all right to say, I like playing chess. It's all right to say, you know what, I just like enjoying good music. I love music so much. I've invested into having a little personal studio, but it's just for my own personal listening. You don't have to go out here and try to make a plan to become Jay-Z. You might just want to play in a small club, just to have a cool Friday night, just to jam out.
But people,
and that's
people
fine.
make it seem like, oh, you're not motivated. You're okay with just your regular job. Like, you're a loser. Like, I think that's the persona.
You need to break that mentality.
You know, in the media nowadays, it's like you need to have more. You need to be doing more. You need to be busy. That's what it is. America is about always being busy. That how often do you actually have time to just sit, relax, breathe? Actually, the moments when I'm sitting, I actually feel very uncomfortable. It's like, oh my God, I need something to do. Like, what's my agenda? Like, I get crazy because I feel like I'm so used to going all the time. So yeah.
Yeah, I think so let's work together to change those narratives for each other, because I think it is unhealthy the way we go about life. If we don't give people a chance to just live. It's all right to just live, folks. You know, if you like to do something, just do it. You don't gotta make it a business.
Yeah.
You all right? Unless you have a solid business plan, you can make real money. Well, shoot, turn it into a business.
Part of business is duplication or getting somebody to invest in your business. And if your goal is not either of them, you probably shouldn't be in business, because why would you want to do it by yourself for years? You want to be able to sit back and have somebody else do it. Anyway, we have 4 minutes left, and I think this would be a perfect opportunity to ask you guys, what do you think the Nitty Gritty Show could do better to garner more attention or to garner more viewers? We're really curious. Put it in the comment section. If you like today's conversation, let us know.
Please share it.
If you didn't like today's conversation, let us know. If you have certain topics on your mind that you think we should raise to help garner more attention, let us know.
Okay.
Either way, put it in the comment section. You can always email us at thenittyGrittyShow2017@gmail.com.
Or you can hit us up at katniss@thenittyGrittyShow.com. Or you can hit me at j.decosta@thenittyGrittyShow.com. You know, we pay for those domains.
We are on YouTube, and if you are new to our platform, or you want to be able to share our platform with someone else, you can always refer them to the Nitty Gritty Show on YouTube. So yeah.
All right, and then also, so we got some quick shout outs with a little bit of time left. One, hey, a true Scorpio, what's going on? Shout out to the pals. So yeah, want to shout out a couple of things. One, got to shout out Travis Kelce and the Kansas City Chiefs.
Cleveland Heights.
Yeah, Cleveland Heights stand up. All right, you know, doing something for y'all. Also, want to shout out the year 1973. This is gonna be my Black History moment. Fact. 1973 was the year of the mayor, with 4 of the first African American mayors of major cities taking office. Also in 1973, Eugene D. Jackson and Sidney Small founded the National Black Network as a subsidiary of the Unity Broadcasting in New York. It was the first black-owned and operated national radio network. And I know you guys are like, Juan, why 1973? Why you bring that up? Well, all the music I am playing today came from 1973. The first song, The Payback by James Brown, 1973. Also, when we're looking at this final song by one of my favorite groups of all time, the OJs. The song is For the Love of Money. That was also played or put out in 1973. And we're going to be doing this all month long. I'm going to pick a year, a dope black year. And we're just going to play some music that was the soundtrack of the age, that led civil rights, that pushed us into new heights. And we're going to celebrate and we're going to enjoy this month. You know, happy Black History Month too.
Song.
Yeah, it's a good motivation song. Now, if you are in business trying to get that money, or, you know, it's tax time, right? I know you guys are filing them taxes, you claiming kids that ain't yours. Get that money, all right? Yeah, don't do that. Like, don't let the IRS know. They gonna get you.
We're signing out. just make sure that you use this month to uplift, spread knowledge about Black folks during Black History Month. We get 1 month, y'all. Why not let this month be the month that we shine brightest, right? So, it is your girl, Katniss.
And it's your boy, J.D. Costa. And together we are the Nitty Gritty. We love y'all. Thanks for being with us. Man, what? Some people just gotta have it.
I know these like,
yeah. You gotta put your fist over there too. Do things, do things, do